All right, welcome back, everybody. This is week 16, I believe, with Aligning with Success with Mike and Dave. And again, just notes for those of you who may be just joining this call or watching the playback for the first time. 16 weeks, that's 15 weeks prior recording, starting in January, of amazing content, enough there to build an empire in the network marketing field with Nikan. So do go back, do use this opportunity to watch the Aligning with Success series and really learn the ins and outs from the point of view of people who have been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So this call today is the third in a sort of a series, I guess you could say, mini series that we started with Dave, where we're talking about some the what Dave refers to as the administrative scale, how we go about creating a business plan, essentially, with somebody, with ourselves, or with somebody that we've enrolled in the business, if we're serious about, really taking this to the next level with that person. And I think it's really important, if you're going to be building Nikan as a business that sustains you long into your retirement, you want to build it with professional mindset. And that professional mindset means you approach it as a business, which means you have a plan of action for onboarding people, for helping them get started. And as we mentioned before, some people that you're going to introduce to this, they may be entering the space of entrepreneurship for the very, very first time. They may be retiring from a profession or a career, and this is their first venture into being an entrepreneur. So having an upline that can either direct them or point to the content, the material that can develop them in a self um, development way, um, I think is critical if you're going to get duplication to happen. So having a plan of action, how to onboard somebody, how to give them the entrepreneurial skill set or help them develop that skill set over time is really what you become in this business when you become a coach and a mentor, which is the ultimate goal, because it's at that point in time where you're really just simply helping other people develop themselves. And I think the consequence of that is reciprocal. As you help others, it helps you. You always win when you're in that orientation. So we started 2 weeks ago with goal, purpose, policy, the first three steps in moving somebody from an idea into substantiating the motivation for action in that idea, to get serious about Niken, have a goal, have a reason why they're doing this, and then to look at what are the things that need to happen in order for them to achieve that goal. Then we move into a general plan. For that, we looked at the compensation plan. We gave a quick presentation last week on the compensation plan and its relationship to the income and rank. There was a bit of a relationship there to show you how one can achieve their income goal through the compensation plan, and it ties into a rank, which furthermore explains what it is that we need to do in order to achieve that rank, which is fortifying our plan. We looked at the program, um, sort of the script of activities to-do list. That was the launch strategy. And I pointed you in the direction of contact and invite. And if anybody saw my Facebook post a couple hours ago, I reposted something from a leader in the network marketing space who was on stage, and he was emphasizing the most important skill that you can acquire, develop in this business that will directly impact your income more than anything is inviting people into looking at this opportunity. So I certainly agree with that statement, and that's why we left you off with that notion that it's important not just to learn how to contact and invite, but to really develop your understanding, your skill, to study it and to perfect it, because it is the most valuable thing you're going to learn how to do in this business. And of course, for duplication. And on top of that, it will lead you to an endless, and I mean endless, supply of contacts if you do this right, if you do contact and invite right. And so projects, which we really didn't get too much into, Dave, maybe you can pick up from there before we move on. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so projects could be something like going to Humans Be More, or going to an Eric Worre event, or taking a class, or one of the things I would teach my guys is go learn how to speak, go to join these speaking groups, so that you can learn how to, tell your story in front of a group of people. Because again, same thing with contact and invite, learning what to say and how to say it in a way that the other person understands is critical. So these are things. Read a book. A new book comes along. Okay, I got to. You're busier than a one-hour paper hanger anyway, and then all of a sudden this new book comes in. Well, it's a project. You set that aside. It's going to help you learn and become more efficient. So that was the idea of the projects.
Okay, and I totally agree because essentially, we never stop learning in this business, regardless of our rank and success. And to become a professional and be proficient at this is really as an ongoing thing. I love hanging out with the masters. I love learning from them. Hence why I would even, share. Some of you've seen stuff that I post is not mine. It's from other people in the industry who've done well because I think, you can learn from them. You can learn from other people's success. I love what one of our friends in Niken, fellow behind this book, Richard Brook, The 4 Year Career, he says, success leaves clues. I love that. Or maybe that is Eric Worre who says that. Anyway, success leaves clues. And so following successful people, they're going to lead you down the path of success because they've done it and they'll share with you gladly how they do it. So master classes, books, man, I'm a prolific reader. I hope you are too. And events, an event strategy. We have Niken events. We've got one coming up this Saturday. So there's an opportunity for you to learn, to plug in, to get some people to plug in and to learn. It's going to be short and sweet, but it's just another opportunity to get into not to just to dip your toe in the river, but to jump in the river and then get swept up by it because it's going to lead you where you want to go. So good stuff. Projects. I love projects because I think that's a commitment to success is when you further your education and make a commitment to doing that. All right. So now the next 3 points, Dave, number 7, 8, and 9.
Well, actually, there's four more points. I missed one last week, but we'll cover it. And just a couple of things we'll get into this and get a rhythm going. So I read this quote. This was really interesting. It says, it's easy to think it. But thinking isn't doing it. Therefore, the right way is to program it. So we talked about program earlier in last week's class, and basically that was what do you need to do to go from zero to wherever you're trying to get to? What are all the steps? What are all the actions? What are all the to-do things? The putting your list together, having a mentor, having meetings, learning your script, learning about the products, attending the Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night meetings, going to Seiko Kai's, going to, whatever you have to do to learn your business. That's what you program. Those are the action steps. So just think if you were a manufacturer, and we'll use this analogy a couple of times, but you were making coffee tables. Well, you'd have to order the wood, you'd have to order the resin, you'd have to order the stain, you'd have to order the glass, you'd have to order the nuts and bolts. And so if you didn't tell yourself to do that, then it wouldn't arrive. So that opens the door to the next step, which is orders. Now, orders, if you look up the word, it's a very interesting word. It's basically, this is what I would refer to my daily battle plan. So I get up in the morning, I have a blank sheet of paper on my pad. I write the time, the date, the hour I get up, what I do, get ready, whatever the case may be, do my administration, check my banking, all those kind of things. And then I get ready and then, I'll put down, have breakfast. Then here's the first meeting. I got to meet so and so and discuss this. I got to talk to an attorney about this situation. I got to meet Joe Blow because we're talking about new, whatever the case may be. A whole day. Now, at the same time, I have another section of projects that are in play that regard to this. Now, the reason why I do this is here's what I found. If it's not in writing, it's not true.
Hmm.
So if you don't put it down in writing, then it'll get lost up here. I mean,
Man, so this is so relatable. If I don't put it in writing, I I can't remember what I had for breakfast. If I don't put it in writing, I'm not going to remember what I have to do for sure,
There
for
you
sure.
go. So in doing this business, you can just well imagine what has to be done. And this is probably one of the challenges that a lot of people have is they don't really know how to plan, how to put together a program. That's why you want a mentor. So your battle plan is your orders. Now, just like you got a new person that you got into the business, you've got to then teach them to give them orders and you give them orders. Okay, you got
Okay,
to go to this
let me
meeting.
just
I'll see you
step in
there
for a
Tuesday
second. So we're
night.
not talking about orders as in product orders. We're talking about orders as yes, sir, Captain.
Absolutely. It's the do stuff, Michael.
Right.
It's
So
it's
you
like
could say it would be easy for me to know if somebody is getting this if I said, let me see your calendar, your to-do list for today on the calendar. Show me your calendar
yes,
today. And then I would be able to see all the things that they've actually got written in their calendar as things they got to check off,
yes.
appointments that they've got to meet, to-dos that they have to execute, and so forth. Which, by the way, without my cell phone, like I said, I'd be totally lost. And I definitely know how to use the to-do list on my calendar, how to have events programmed in for calls and so forth like that, the scheduling and whatnot. So yeah, that's critical. Otherwise,
Now,
what do you
this
got?
actually came from World War II. The generals in England, when they were planning what to do, their battle plans for the day, where were their skirmishes, where were they being attacked, where did they have to bolster their troops, and those battle plans were then created, and then they would create action. So the key to this thing in the orders, it's the same thing as the action. You put something on the list, like, okay, let's say an example. I got to make 10 phone calls today. So that's an action step. So you look at that, it's in front of you. So you keep looking at that, pretty soon you're going to say, well, maybe I should make 10 phone calls today.
Mm.
Because it's the doingness that gets the result, not the thinkingness. The thinkingness sets it up, but you still got to program it and you got to do it. So, okay, so there's your orders part.
So
Now,
just
here's
just
what I didn't
quickly,
talk about. Huh?
there's my today. This is my list of things today, just today
Yeah,
alone. So yeah, I have these things scheduled in because if I don't, I won't remember.
exactly, Michael. You got it nail on the head. So the next step after that is the ideal scene. Now,
Wait, we skipped one. So
no,
orders, I had number 8 as statistics.
yeah, before that is ideal scene.
Okay, so
I missed
rewrite.
it.
Number 8 is ideal scene. This
Then
is a good
stats,
one.
then VFP.
Then stats, and then what is your valuable final product? What did you call that? VIP?
VFP, valuable final
VFP,
product.
VFP. Okay, so 7, 8, 9, and that'll be 10. Okay, got it. So orders is 7, 8 is ideal scene. Tell us about ideal scene.
Okay, so the ideal scene is the goal in a picture form.
Mm.
Now, we're very used to this in when we go to Humans Be More, which what I remember is silver training, and you did this collage of your life, what you wanted, where you want to go. That was your ideal scene that you were creating in picture form. And again, this is used all over the world. So, for example, I'm going to go back to the house story, which we used last week in the sense of you've got a piece of property, you're building a house, you go to the architect, and he draws you a picture and a beautiful picture of a house with all the trappings. That's your ideal scene. Now, they start the construction. The guy's got the plans. You've hired a contractor, and you walk in there day one, and they got the graders grading the ground. So you know where you're going, so you can then see the difference of where you are and what has to be done. So then you go back a month later and they got the floors down, they got the studs up, and they got the beginning of a roof and the plumbing's going in. And so you're getting closer to the ideal scene. So you can see the difference from where you are to where you want to get to. Well, just imagine for the sake of this that you want to be a royal diamond because the royal diamond is going to open up lots of doors, create lovely income, et cetera, and set you up for a long time to come. Well, what does that look like? Now, not talking about the thinking part. Okay, royal diamond. Okay, I will see that. I see a Michael. I see a Dave. I see a whatever. No, it's what does it look like on a piece of paper? How many people? How many platinums do you have? How many golds do you have? How many silvers do you have? What does it look like? Because what you want to be able to do in your doing this over time is compare where you are to where you're going to be and what's the difference.
So
What's the
this, for
departure?
instance, this is the blueprint of what I
There you go.
consider the ideal scene for a launch, for a 90-day launch. Is for somebody to execute a strategy that ends up looking like this, where you got a bunch of people and sponsored, some are customers, some are consultants, but from that come your core consultants, and then you've duplicated that down to the second generation. That's the ideal scene in a 90-day launch. That's what we're talking about. You can see it.
So if you only had one of those characters, then what? Here's how you got to think about this. Okay, I got one, but I need three. You see, it shows you the difference. In other words, you don't want to get stuck on what you accomplished. That's done. You want to stay focused on where you need to go to because it's a bit of a climb to get to where you want to get to. So when you have that up on your wall, then you're looking at that. So you do your battle plan, you got everything else going, and you say, "Oh, I got a hole there. I got to fill." I got to put somebody in there. I got to go talk to somebody. So your intention, your desire, your drive goes to focus on what you need, not so much what you have. So that's the reason for that. Okay, let's move on to the next
Brilliant,
stats.
brilliant.
So statistics are, by definition, are simply measurements of production. So I'm going to throw out a number, 5. What does that mean?
Depends.
Exactly. See, the number is only as valuable as it can be compared to other numbers. So, for example, if I said $14,000, and then somebody might say, wow, $14,000 is a lot. But, if you're used to making $150,000 a month, $14,000 is a crash. It's nothing. Can't pay the bills. So it's how do you compare it? So again, you're building this business and you keep track of. So I've done projects with many distributors on keeping track of their phone calls, their emails, the communication, their people they talk to, and comparing it to what happens at the other end. And so here's the biggest thing that you want to strive for in your career is what are you good at? And you want to strengthen what you're good at, and then the other pieces come into play. And so if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how that creates a result for you, every single month and week you go in blind. And then most importantly, we learned this a couple of weeks ago. What's our objective here? It's duplicative effort. So in other words, when I recruit another distributor, the duplicative effort that I want him to do is go for Royal Diamond. Now, I don't not necessarily from my perspective care how he does that, provided it's legal, moral, and ethical, but I'm going to put him on a track. But if he's driving for that duplicative effort, that's the business. So if I don't know what to do and I don't have that ability or that communication or that knowledge to pass it on, then that person doesn't learn what to do. What happens to my group? What happens to my organization? What happens to my check? It just
Now
doesn't
hold
exist.
that thought for a second, because what this might suggest to you is that you already have to know. And the truth is you don't,
No,
because what you have is access to somebody who does know.
right.
That's the beauty of this business. In the traditional business world, you can't go to your boss or your boss's boss or the CEO of the company and say, "Hey, can you help me with this problem over here? I need you to talk to so and so and solve this problem for them, or help me understand what it is that I'm supposed to be doing because, you hired me to do it, but I don't really know what exactly it is I'm doing. So can you tell me what I'm supposed to?" I mean, it's not the kind of conversation you would have in the traditional world. But in this business, that's exactly what you do. It's exactly what's
However,
expected.
Michael, in the insurance business, this was the way we did it. In the car business, this was the way we did it. In the advertising sales, this is the way we did it. It was the ABC. So the key here is here's the concept, and it's really important to get the concept that you want to measure production so that you can then understand the effort that has to go in to get the result that you want to get. That's the bottom line of it. And so in the beginning it was like, okay, so put together a list. Okay, go talk to those people. Well, heck, I've been talking to people for 35 years, so the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. In that time frame, maybe I've talked to 10,000 people. So okay, start. You got to talk to 10,000 people. Well, I'm going to overwhelm the heck out of you. It's not going to work, but I want you to understand the concept first. If you understand the concept, then you can move forward. And then with whoever you work with, their style, their technique. But really, what we're saying here is knowledge somewhere is going to accelerate growth and potential. So if you monitor it, you'll become better at understanding it, and then you can pass it on much quicker. You know, the whole thing of the putting 100 people on a list. Where did that come from? Well, somebody did that, and somebody got the results of that, and so that becomes what? Policy. So there's how this goes back and forth and down all over the place and so on and so forth. Okay, now let's go into the final one, valuable final product. I wrote in my book, The Smart Networker, about building coffee tables. And so I've had a business, many businesses. One was telecommunication, where we had one product. And that product was to provide cell phone tower service to people that own cell phones. So our towers were acting as signals. And so the go from your phone to this tower back to my phone, and that's how it worked. They were eventually sold to Sprint. But that was the product that we were producing. Now, to get that product, we had to go talk to the owners of these towers who were in the specialized mobile radio industry. This is old technology. And we had to get them to sell that product to us, and we bought it, we repackaged it, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody in my company, and we had 9 offices, we had 130 employees, and everybody was concerned with one thing. How do we get that product done? How do we produce that valuable final product of the group of people owning a cell tower for cell phone transmission? That was the product. So we weren't thinking about selling vacations. We weren't thinking about going off and building log cabins. No, we were focused on producing that one product. Well, in our business, it's a little bit, it can get very distracted because you got social aspects, you got life aspects, you got business aspects, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you want to make it work, you got to produce something that creates exchange. I want you to think about this. This is so important. So if you go and sponsor somebody and you introduce them in the business and they buy, a set of insoles or whatever the case may be, and that's all they do, is that really a valuable final product? Well, it all depends on what your intention was with that person, but the person came in to because they wanted to make this work. So if you recruited Dave or if you recruited Michael, now those are two very valuable final products for what Niken represented, which was independent distributors. That's how it started. So my success came about by my helping other people get what they wanted. That was the valuable product that resonated most with me. So I'm talking to you and I say, well, hey, this sounds good. What's going on in your life? And they say, well, I need to do this, I need to do that. Well, would you be interested in making some extra cash? Yeah, I would. I could do this, I could do that. Well, let me show you how, the policy, and then we get into the thing. Now, I'm not going to leave that guy alone. I'm going to help him build like crazy. Why? Because if I create that valuable final product, guess what I've got? I've got residual income. I've got a story to tell. I've got a songbird that'll sing like forever about as a reference that about how it works. And I can go off and do other things while this person's building the crap out of their business. Just like my sponsor, who look at his position. Look at Michael's sponsor's position. So this is a really core concept. So if you understand that when you recruit somebody, what your role is to help them become successful. And what happens if they become successful? So you take a Royal Diamond, they do 300,000 points on a monthly basis. Let's say you sponsored a Royal Diamond and you got it 300,000 points in your pay line. What's that worth to you? And that's going to be residual income. You're not going to have to do anything for that money because that other person, the Royal Diamond, is self-motivated. I mean, I told you a story about Julian, $287 million worth of business that she did in 27 years. She did that. I helped a lot. She'd say, Dave, go here. I'd go there. Dave, go here, go there, to Europe, wherever, South America, Mexico, wherever. Why? Because I understood if I produce this valuable final product, I've got something of exchange. What's the exchange? The exchange was her production created a check for Dave. So I'm building coffee tables and I get an award for the best coffee tables in town. I get to do some advertising. Dave produces the best coffee tables in town. What is going to happen with that? The story gets out there, other people want to know, et cetera, et cetera. I was able to recruit and build my business as it grew over the years based on what I built in the years prior. So I piggybacked off my success by saying, okay, I got this guy. This is what I did with him. Then I got another guy. This is what I did with him. Then I got another guy. This is what I had with him. So I think I could do the same thing with you. Do you want to play? And every time, of course, I want to play. Let's go. I didn't have any resistance. I didn't have any challenges. I didn't have any pushback, anything. And it was all based on this one concept. I committed to them to help them get what they want. So let's do a quick rehash on the whole thing. So you start off with your goal. Now, all of these must align when you do it. So you sit down with a piece of paper, goal. This is what I want. What's the purpose of the goal? In other words, why are you doing this? Because you got to have a purpose. That then is your why. I'm doing it. I did it because I wanted to put food on the table and raise my family. Number three, well, what policy are you going to use to do this? Well, there's a whole host of policy. There's 15 episodes, now 16 episodes of Michael and Dave that you can get that'll teach you how to do this business. There's books, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody's proven this. Okay. What's the basic plan? Well, the basic plan is I want to make 10 grand a month. I got to go Royal Diamond. Okay, good. So you got that nailed down. How are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to hook up with my mentor and we're going to lay it out every single step of the way. And then I'm going to launch my business and get started. And then, okay, so are there any projects along the way? Yeah, I'm going to go to Humans Being More. I got to go to some events that the company's doing. I got some books I need to read. I got to help with the family. I got that to get out of the way. I got to organize my office at home. Okay, orders. I got my battle plan. Going to start. This is what I'm going to do. Daily, 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 week. Daily, 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 week. That's how you play that game. What's the ideal scene? This big picture on my wall, Royal Diamond. I've talked to my mentor. I see what it looks like. I got to get this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. That's what I did in the beginning. And then, okay, here's the stats. I'm going to monitor how many people I contact, how many calls I make, how many presentations I make, what's the income I make, how many closes do I make, those kind of things. You want to relate action to results. This isn't difficult. This is simple Simon stuff. And then what's the valuable final product? Successful distributors that are getting what they want. Now, if you want to do retail, then what's your valuable final product? Happy customers that continue to buy your product. If you want to do both, then you got two valuable final products. That's your admin scale. Now, you work that up and down till everything matches, and then you go to work. 2 months down the road, you get to where you want to do it, you do it again. 3 months down the road, you get to where you want to do it, you do it again. You go to silver, you do it again. You go to gold, you do it again. You go to platinum, you do it again. You go to diamond, you do it again. You go to royal diamond, do it again. There you go.
Fantastic. Okay. Any questions? I mean, it seems like a lot, but at the end of the day, it's a very streamlined process for creating and executing a plan to achieve an outcome. And I love the idea of a valuable final product because, again, a lot of people quote, I do Niken. I hear them say it all the time. I'm doing Niken. Doing. Doing doesn't refer to a valuable final product. It refers to an action. But what does that doing lead to? Without that picture in mind, without that final product in mind, are what you doing in alignment with what you want? And unless we have some way of measuring that, it's just a bunch of doing. And you may or may not be happy with the outcome, but you may feel like you have no control over it either because you don't have the metrics. You're not clearly defining what it looks like. You're not striving to perfect what is the plan and getting the attention and the help to create that plan so that it's a better plan than maybe the one you figured out on your own, et cetera, et cetera.
Michael,
What
I just
happens
like
if
to
you
throw
become,
in,
yeah, go ahead.
I went Royal Diamond 26 years ago. I want you to think about that for a second. It took me 8 years to go from the bottom to the top, but I took out a couple of years. I was off for 3 years, so it was actually 5 years of work, but 8 years of time. And then I created 26 years of residual income. I want you to think about that. How serious do you want to get about making this work? This isn't about being hard. This is about being serious in the sense of learning everything you can possibly learn. You want to be a doctor? How many years do you have to spend to become a doctor? I made way more money than the doctor did, and so did Michael. So if you put it in perspective, this little list of 10 things will set you up for you to be able to do whatever you want to do, whether it's this or something else or whatever the case may be. But it's the basis of everything that must be involved for a complete package to exist.
You
And
know,
if
Dave,
you want the missing piece, then it doesn't work.
it's interesting because I mean, as an engineer, I was educated as an engineer. My mind is an engineering mind. Since I was a kid, I was taking things apart, fixing appliances in my house with a butter knife because I just could do stuff like that. I was naturally curious. Anyway, the point, I guess, is as an engineer, I always reverse engineered things. I always looked at what the final product was and then reverse engineered and figured out this path. So intuitively, I was following this path. But it's one thing to be intuitive about it, it's another thing to be calculated about it, which is why I then turned my engineering mind onto the business and started producing a system of tools to reverse engineer or to help people reverse engineer their success in the business, breaking it down to a few very simple things: the contact and invite, the three conversation process, and a launch strategy. And that's basic thing. Learn, execute, get better as you go, and pretty soon what you have is a business that's thriving. And so that strategy for me allowed me to go from somebody who helped. Well, first of all, I went silver in 8 days, my launch, but then I could help people go silver in less time than that. I help people go gold in a month. I even help people go platinum inside of a month. It was just me exercising my reverse engineering mind, challenging myself to get more involved, more better at it. But the process is unchanged. Begin with the end in mind. And then I started looking for the people to actually do it with. So having this skill set takes you from being somebody who's a hobbyist in network marketing or somebody who makes dribs and drabs of income in Niken to somebody who can actually lead an army into a great victory of success financially and physically and emotionally. So, and what we need are more people who can lead, not more people who can follow. I mean, you get both, but It's the leaders who create the followers, and more leaders means greater numbers in the way of followers. What does it mean? It means being more professional, more proficient, more on purpose, more on point with how it is that we go about building a business. And these 10 steps are really simple to follow. I mean, I think you'll find that they're very simple for your own objectives. Sherelle, you've got your hand up. Let's have it.
Good evening. Thank you. Okay, so I had two goals that I put in the for this month. One of two. It was to create two networking activities. So the one was to host a vision board, which I'm doing on Saturday, and the second one was to create a one question survey. So I did that. Something easy, something simple that people could just, I could ask them and they could answer me without even thinking. So it's been very successful. So my goal was 30 to get 30. So I'm at 43 now. So I'm only 17 away from 60. So what I'm saying is when I have the goal, it helps to center and it's intentional because I have a clipboard here. So I don't go anywhere without the clipboard. When I go out the house, I take my clipboard because I know I have a one question survey here. And I want to, whoever I come in contact with, I want to be able to ask. So just, I'm not sure where I got off of, goals and things of that nature because I've been getting, I'm almost 50. I've been getting things done this whole time. But I understand that to hit the goal, you have to set it. Like it has to have a time, it has to have value, and you have to commit to it. So, uh, and my list has provided me with names of people. Some I may never see again, but some I'm going to see again. So it's like twofold. I'm hitting my goal, and I'm going to get some contacts from doing this activity. So my challenge was activities. So I'm creating activities so I can get the results that it is that I am seeking. But that's all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks. I'm sure everybody on this call, however, is really anxious to hear what is this one question survey?
It's a hit too. So my one question survey that I'm doing, what year were you born? It's simple. Nobody has to think about it. And people don't have to wonder if I'm going to run off with their birth date. So it's what year were you born? And it's been very successful. And I'm already thinking of the next one question surveys.
That's interesting. And now people give you the year they were born. How do you turn that from the year they were born to something more?
Well, the exercise was for me to go out and ask.
Oh,
Okay,
I
so
see. Okay, so essentially what you're doing is you're exercising a muscle. You're creating a you're the word I'm looking for is you're it's like a muscle memory. You're creating a muscle memory so that it
correct.
becomes effortless for you to actually go out and
Yes.
ask. Good.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
smart. That's really good. Did you learn that from somewhere and you just make that up?
I learned about surveys from Dave of the Smart
Oh,
Networker, and I'm
yeah.
just finessing it. I'm just making it my own.
Sweet. Very good. That's excellent. Right on. Anybody else? I think it's a great idea, by the way, to learn what is a question you can ask. I was when Dave was talking about valuable valuable final product, I was thinking, I don't know if I want just a customer. I want a name. Like if I got a quality name from everybody, always, if that was the valuable final product, or at least one component of my valuable final product was a quality referral, then no matter who I'm talking with, I'm going to always end up with a quality referral. Whether it's a guest, a prospect, a customer, a consultant, I'm always going to end up with a quality referral, which keeps the business doors open. It keeps me in business 24/7. I've always got somebody to talk with. Think about that. That could be a good one to add to your what is your valuable final product? Not just a happy customer who leads me to a great quality lead. Angelica,
Yes, hello everybody. So I'm with my boyfriend, John, and hello Dave. I think you didn't know him. Hello to
no,
everyone.
Dave's exited the call. He has a commitment at 8:30 every Tuesday and
Oh
Monday
yeah,
night.
I didn't know. Okay, anyway, I
Yeah.
thought he was still there. Okay, so in my case, it's like related, I wanted to tell you about what we did yesterday with my daughter, one of my daughters. That it was like I talked to her and I told her, okay, I have news for you. I have to let you know that Guillaume and I were doing this business, and I need you like to be understand to comment on dit que tu
They're
comprennes.
gonna be understanding that they're gonna be part of the team too,
Exactly.
because well,
Because we have a goal.
yeah,
We want to go see Shakira on the 20
in like a
May,
month.
May 20, yeah, May 20th,
She's
because it's
coming to
going to be my
Montreal. It's gonna be great.
birthday the day before, right? So after that, the idea of having, a goal, like
To put it
more,
down.
yeah, to put it down, we were like, dancing Shakira, and we were thinking already about this goal, but like it motivated us, but also like we're a team, not because she's in a way she's gonna be participating, in the
Yeah,
energy.
they're gonna come too.
Yeah. So announcing the family, I think is something very important to announce them that we're committed to something and that we are a team
That-
and that we're doing this for a purpose.
That reminds me of a story. This is really good, especially if you've got young kids, and keep this in mind. Remember this, because you don't want young families, to feel like they're splitting hairs with their time, or in some way in opposition to the best interests of their children. Get the kids involved. And one of the distributors, what they did was they asked each child what it was that they really wanted for themselves, and they got a picture of it and they put it on the refrigerator and they tied it to a business goal. So they said, we're doing this, and part of the benefits of us being able to succeed and achieve our goal is you're going to get that. And what happened was they found that the kids, when the parents were being a little bit lazy or taking time off, the kids would get on their back and say, hey, aren't you supposed to be working right now? So that's a great strategy for getting the kids involved, and that way it's not dividing them, it's actually including them. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. This is a goal like for the whole family, and we're gonna be all winning out of this.
Everybody.
So exactly. So my kid, she wants something like a doll, and anyway. But yeah, thank you very much for that, because like it reminds me that it's not only for us. It's also for them. And I told my daughter, when you're gonna see me, like I'm gonna be probably crying or like something disappointed, it's okay, because she was just asking me, you've been telling me so many times that you're going to be successful, and I told her about, like comment dit arroser,
Oh, like when we're
like you put
watering.
a seed, you're watering, and when you're not going to go look if it's already, going out, I said, I keep watering, it doesn't matter when, but it's going to happen for sure. And she's like, okay, mom.
Good analogy. I like that one. All right, thank you, Mrs. Kramer.
1 second. Yes, I love your story about having the kids, scolding the parents. And so maybe I need to adopt some kids and get some kids in, because I posted in the chat that there is a system to plan tomorrow today, and it works very well. Before I go to bed at night or sometime in the evening, I plan tomorrow today. And I write down the system, all the things, just like you and Dave were describing, what has to be done the following day. Then I can sleep on it, and somehow I'm more ready to get started on doing it as soon as I wake up in the morning. And I hurry through all of the regular tasks that we have to do when we get up in the morning, and then I'm ready to get started.
That's fantastic.
And then I have to ask, every now and then, first thing in the morning, what worked yesterday and what didn't work yesterday, and what can I do today to fix it so it doesn't happen again? And maybe midday when we read the affirmation, what's working, what's not yet working, and what do I need to do to fix it? And just keep asking that as we go along to make sure that we stay on track.
Okay, so this is really powerful. I want to reiterate what you're saying here because this comes back to the idea of being intentional in our business. When you are leveraging the power of the subconscious mind, let me just touch on this for a second. What is the subconscious mind? The subconscious mind is the mind that literally connects to everything you are, everything you're connected to, everything that is. It's the power of the subconscious mind is if it's working for you and not against you, nothing can stop you. Most people have the subconscious mind working against them. So, for instance, they'll set a goal, I want to lose weight, and the subconscious mind is busy convincing you that that's not what you want. What you want is that cookie over there, or what other ways it starts to really undermine your objective, your conscious objective. The power of the subconscious mind is, and it's filled with all kinds of beliefs. What Bob Proctor, my mentor, used to say is never underestimate the power of a paradigm. The paradigm is simply all the beliefs that are rooted in the subconscious mind. So, how do you deal with the subconscious mind? How do I get the subconscious mind to work for me instead of against me? Since there's so many more beliefs that I'm not even aware I have that I've adopted over the years from other people and other belief systems that are working against me, that are actually working against my objective. And it's take you a lifetime and some to figure out what is working against you. And if you tried to root out every one of those things, you'll be there forever. And some people do that. They think that's the approach. Let me go and root out all these weeds in the garden. And what I was taught was don't worry about the weeds in the garden. Just water the seeds, the good seeds, water the good plants, which is the conscious mind. Keep watering the stuff that you have in your conscious mind. So what you could do to distract the subconscious mind and actually to get it to work for you is give it a command. When you give the subconscious mind a command, it actually starts to work for you in the background. It's buffering in the background. You got this what's going on the computer screen of your conscious mind, but the computer's still operating in the background. And so I'll give you an example of this. You've done this. Let's say you're talking with somebody and there's a name that you're trying to remember. Rather than say, oh, I can't remember their name, say, it'll come to me. How many of you have done that? Okay. And what happens? Somewhere along the conversation, the name comes. So what you did in that moment, it'll come to me, was you gave the subconscious mind a command. Go fetch that name while I'm busy talking to this person. That's exactly what happened. So when you give yourself, when you ask the subconscious mind to solve a problem for you, like when you're going to sleep, just before you fall asleep, which, by the way, one of my favorite books in the world is this one, The Power of Awareness. And he talks about when is the best time to actually suggest something. It's just when you're in your slumber, when you're just about to fall asleep, you go to sleep with that thought in mind. So what it could be is the visualization of the valuable final product. See yourself in that moment, see yourself in that situation, which is what he suggests. But it could also be given the command to the subconscious mind, I need this problem solved. Solve this problem for me. Now, some people might call that prayer. They're pretty much the same thing because you are relying on some other consciousness at work independently of you while it's working with you, so to speak. So yeah, that's how it works. Give your subconscious mind some commands and put yourself in charge because it's brilliant. I used to tell my kids, especially, I'm sure I've said this, but when they would go to school for an exam or a test or whatever, we would always talk about what their score was going to be before the test ever came. They would always announce in writing what they were going to get as a test on their exam, and they would have it pinned up on their mirror. I went to visit them at their condominium, and I would see the results pinned up on their window, on their mirror, and so forth. So they were performing this as a way of doing things. That's what they were taught. That's what they absorbed as truth, that they create their own reality, and they used to write their scores. Anyway, times would come where there was sometimes a challenge or maybe a little bit of anxiety, and I would remind my daughter, one of them, for instance, I would say, listen, you have access to every answer in the universe. There's not a question that can be asked that you don't have the answer for. Not a single question. You just have to access it. It's kind of like Google. If you got a phone and you got a connection, you can ask Google and Google will spit out an answer. But you need two things. You need the phone and you need the connection. But then you also have to have a question. So the connection is the part I would help them remind them of. You make the connection first, then you ask Google. In this case, it would be you make the connection and then you ask for the answer. And so the connection is to move them from a state of anxiety to a state of connection. If you're connected to the mind of the universe, you don't experience anxiety. You experience peace and calm. So I would help them elevate their consciousness in a meditative way to the point where they were calm, connected, and then they would be able to answer effortlessly all the questions. And that's how they would arrive at their successful marks and so forth. So it's a reality. It's the truth. If you practice this intentionally, where you trust there is a mind greater than my conscious mind. There's my subconscious mind, and then there's my superconscious mind. And these minds are connected. And if I give the right question, I will receive the answer if I'm open to receive. The question might be, tonight, you might go to sleep and say, I want to ask the most incredible question of people where they volunteer the most qualified people to share with me for me to introduce Taniken. I want that question. And just leave it. Let it go to sleep and see what comes up in the morning, in the shower and whatever. I used to always get my answers in the shower. I don't know why the shower, but that's the way it was. So yeah. Try that. Try it on for size. It's a way of being an intentional person, an intentional creator. Isn't it more fun anyway? Absolutely. All right. Well, we're up for time tonight. We don't have to go any further unless there's another question. We'll wrap next week.
It's those micro bubbles in the shower, Mike.
It's the micro bubbles. Yeah, it could be that. It could be the purification of the water itself. By the way, I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I know there's been some pretty significant announcements in the last 24 hours, so affects a lot of people around the world. But just want to remind us all that we do have a purpose. We're here for a reason. You can't be an intelligent person and not consider an intelligent mind at work that created all this. I just don't see how those two compute or don't compute. And if you have a challenge with that question, call me and ask me personally why I have that thought. I think it was Einstein, one of the people who said, the more I learn about the universe, the more I believe there's a God. And I totally relate. Anyways, it's a lot more fun anyway to believe that there's a greater power at work creating all of this as well. And we have the opportunity to collaborate with that power. Yeah? Don't you think? Much more fun. So let's do it. Let's get at it. Let's create a big win for you this week. Take some of this information and really put it to town. Put it to work. Sound good? Yeah. All right, everybody. Great week. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks,
Good
Mike.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.